Hello everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care channel. I'm Dwayne and I'm a certified RV inspector. And today we're going to talk about mobile internet connectivity while RV traveling and camping. And you know, this is really an important topic because the internet and RVing go hand in hand these days. What I mean is, if we choose to get entertainment, we very often do that through the internet. And so if you want to stream movies or television, well, you're probably going to need to hook up to Hulu or Netflix or YouTube or one of those channels over the internet. If you want to stay up with what's going on in the news, you'll probably do that through the internet. If you want to connect with family and friends, well, probably it's going to be through social media. And yes, even though we love RVing and traveling and camping, we still need to get some work done, right? And these days, if you need to do work, very often the internet is going to be involved in some way. So again, internet access and RV travel and camping go hand in hand. What are our options then? What do we use to access the internet while we're RVing? If you're a weekend RVer, well, then you'll probably be able to get by with just a cell phone plan that you use for your phone, your smartphone. You know, these come from the three major carriers. It's Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, and they really focus mainly on phone usage and texting and things like that. But very often they'll give you some data with the plan as well. Now, they don't usually give you a lot of data. If they do, they charge you a fortune for it. And if whatever data they do give you may have some restrictions on it as well. But if you're just going to be away for a few days from home, well, then probably just using a cell phone plan will get you through until you get back. However, if you're a weekend RVer that needs more robust internet, or let's say you're a part-time RVer or a full-time RVer, well, you're going to need to step the game up a little bit and get better internet access. So what is there available for RVers for getting some serious data access on the internet? Well, the good news is there's actually several ways to access the internet on a mobile basis, but the number one way by far is through what's called cellular data-only plans. Now, these data-only plans are just that. They don't include phone calls or texting or any of that. They have one focus, and that one focus is getting you connected to the internet. And the way they do that is through a device like this, like a hotspot. And so the hotspot has a SIM card in it, and that connects up to the internet through a local tower. And then all of your devices in the RV connect to the hotspot by Wi-Fi. So you can run your phones, your tablets, your smart TV, all of that off your hotspot device or your internet access device. And so that works for a lot of people. Now, these cellular data-only plans don't usually come from the major carriers, though. And the reason for that is, as we said before, whatever they give you, they usually charge you a premium amount for data usage. And they have a lot of restrictions on it, too, that make it difficult for RVers. The good news here is that all the major carriers, all three of them, will sell usage on their towers or their network to other companies who can then resell it to you as a consumer. And whereas the major carriers are not very focused on the mobile internet market, these resellers recognize there's a need here, and so they do focus on the mobile internet market. And so you can get plans from them that really run the whole gamut. They can go from as little as 100 or 200 gigabytes a month all the way up to unlimited data. And that's a really good thing. You can choose whatever you feel will fit your needs. Now, The only problem here is that these resellers in the last year or so have begun to exhibit a lot of volatility. And so there's been a lot of trouble in the usage of their reseller plans, especially with 2 out of the 3 carriers. And we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, let's talk first about the 3 carriers themselves, the main ones. Number 1 is Verizon. They have the largest coverage area, usually recognized that way anyway, among most users. And the issue is that with resellers, their data-only plans are by far the most expensive too. So number 2 in coverage is AT&T, and their reseller plans are usually much less than Verizon. And in the number 3 position is TMobile. Now they're growing by leaps and bounds, but generally considered in the 3rd position for coverage, and their reseller plans fall in the area right around the cost of AT&T, maybe a little less. Now, the many RVers use, out of the 3 of these, use AT&T and T-Mobile, or one or the other. And they'll use that along with their hotspot device to access the internet. However, these 2 carriers, although being more reasonably priced, they have introduced more volatility in the industry than Verizon has. So our question is this: why so much chaos in the reseller market these days? Because this has really affected a lot of us RVers out there, especially full-timers. I know a lot of RVers who've had issues with the internet in this past year. Well, you know, trying to get a straight answer out of the main carriers is really difficult. They just don't seem to want to do that. However, there's a lot of discussion about this issue online, and it seems that the best explanation is that it's somewhat COVID related. And that does make a lot of sense, because these issues with plans and the volatility of the plans, you know, people being terminated or being really throttled back hard on these plans at certain levels, it all started to happen mainly back around 9 months ago when COVID began. And when we think about it, what happened then is that a lot of people that were working, you know, during the day at their job, they would go to their job and have a landline access to the internet. And so now they're not going to their job. Many are working from home, and they're accessing the internet through mobile means, through their devices, through you know, their phones and their tablets and so on. So what that has done is put a strain on these cellular networks that was not there before. So you could understand why they would then begin to start giving some attention to these data-only plans, because many of them are very high data usage plans. Well, all of that's very understandable, really. The issue is that AT&T and T-Mobile really have not handled this situation well on a consumer basis. There could have been a lot better discussion about what's going on, communication, and that kind of thing with the end users, the consumers of these reseller plans. But there just really hasn't been. Now, when it comes to T-Mobile, I kind of give them a little benefit of the doubt and a little buy, because they've been going through a lot, you know, this past year. Before COVID came along, they had planned to merge with Sprint. This had been in the works for quite some time. And now they started it right about the time that, you know, COVID hit. Well, that's difficult. That's a lot of work to combine 2 huge companies that size. And of course, they're rolling out their 5G network at the same time. Wow, that's a lot of work. And had the pandemic hit you at the same time. So I give them a little benefit of the doubt in that area. But AT&T, you know, they were not combining with another company, and they have actually created more chaos as far as I'm concerned and what I've observed than anyone else in the industry. So I've noticed that they not only have been terminating plans, but very often these carriers are also banning certain equipment from use on their networks as well. And all of this has made it very difficult for us mobile people out there and RVers in general to be able to count on a stable internet connection. So let's discuss what we can do going forward. You know, you can complain about the problems all day long, but we need to come up with some solutions. And so what I want to talk about in this video is really 5 solutions that I feel will help me going forward in 2021. And if they will help you, then the video has accomplished its purpose. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1. And number 1 is this. I recognized about 6 months ago that I really needed 2 data-only plans to be safe in this industry and in this market, the market that we have now. And so I decided that, well, I want a lot of coverage, so I'm going to still go with AT&T, but I'll get 2 different AT&T data-only plans. I'll just buy one from one reseller and one from another. And I thought I would manage my risk that way. Well, here's the sad news. At December 31st of 2020, at midnight, both plans went down because they were on the same carrier. So going forward, my recommendation is if you must have internet access, then it's a good idea to have 2 different data-only plans, but make sure they're with 2 different carriers too. And that will mitigate your risk even further of having major internet interruption happen at the same time. Now, the number 2 suggestion that I have for the next year has to do with the resellers themselves. Over the course of the last 6 to 9 months, I've gone through a few resellers now. And I've had some good experiences, and I have had some horrible experiences with, internet resellers. And what I have found is I came across a company that I really feel good about, and I want to share that with you. It's a small cellular data plan reseller out of Waco, Texas, and the name is Olive IP. Now, these folks just really are customer oriented. They understand the meaning of customer service. Their communication is great. They go out of their way to help their customers in every way possible. I've been very impressed with them. Now, I am not connected with them or affiliated with them in any way. I get no payment for recommending them. But their service has been so far above other resellers that I just have to recommend them. If you're looking for a reseller for a data-only plan, please consider Olive IP. I'll put the link to them down below in this video and in the description. Now, that brings me to my 3rd suggestion going forward. I really like the Netgear Nighthawk hotspot or data access equipment. And I've said that before in this video that I put out about 9 months or so ago, but it's really been confirmed for me in my usage over the months in between. It really does a great job giving me good connectivity almost anywhere. But what I'm going to recommend is make sure before you buy a plan that this hotspot or whatever hotspot or router you choose is going to be acceptable on the network that your plan is based on, because these networks are getting picky about even the equipment that you can use to access the data on their network. So there's a need for you then, if you're going to use the Nighthawk, I think it's a great thing. It will work well with almost any AT&T plan, but on T-Mobile, some will work and some won't work with the Nighthawk. Whatever device you use to access the internet, before you do get the plan, make sure that device is accepted on that network and on that plan. Now, the number 4 recommendation I have, and this is a big one, is I recommend that you, as soon as you can, get a subscription to the Mobile Internet Resource Center. Now, why? Well, that website is owned and run by Chris and Cherie of Technomadia, and I'm sure many of you will recognize them as RVers that go back for years in this industry. They've been around a long time, and they focus on mobile internet issues and solutions. So I, however, over the last year or so, I thought about joining, and I thought, well, I don't know. I've done a lot of research on this. Maybe I know enough to go ahead and make my own decisions on this. Looking back now, that was a very poor decision, and I have solved that because I belong to their membership, website myself now. And what I have learned is that if I was a member over the course of the last 6 to 9 months, I would have saved myself so much time, money, and frustration. It's incredible. So my recommendation to you is get a subscription to the Mobile Internet Resource Center quickly, and then plug in and follow the directions that you find there. You're going to really thank me for recommending that to you. I'll put the link to that website below here in the video and in the description. And once again, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not getting paid for recommending this. It's just a solution that really works. My 5th recommendation is, if you're going to get a device to access the internet, I recommend that be a device that uses a MIMO antenna system. MIMO is M-I-M-O. It stands for multiple in, multiple out, and it has to do with making your connection very stable and quick. And so the Nighthawk has that. There are other devices, though, that have MIMO antennas associated with it. So whatever you do, try to get that system if you can. Now, over the course of the last year or so, I had noticed that Chris and Cherie had been suggesting the use of a small little MIMO antenna that you could put on your window with suction cups like this one. And they said it worked really great, and it was only $30, $35. And I was thinking to myself, how can that really work that well? Well, boy, was I wrong about that too. Because when I got the Nighthawk and then I got the MIMO antenna they suggested, what a difference that made. In fact, I'm going to say that if you're not doing really heavy boondocking way away from cellular towers, you probably don't even need the cell booster that much, or you would only need it on rare occasions. The MIMO antenna system with a MIMO enabled router or hotspot, boy, I'm telling you, it's really great. And so I suggest that going forward as well. Well, those are 5 suggestions that I wanted to give with regard to the experiences that I have had in the last year that I think will benefit you. But now, you may have had other experiences, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What has happened to you on your internet access this year? Have you found ways of solving problems that weren't even mentioned in this video? We would love for you to share your experiences and let us know, and that way we could all benefit from it. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.